Well, it's the Big Show. Paul Wight has jumped ship, as they say, over to AEW. The Big Show, formerly the Big Show, now known as Paul Wight by his God-given name, his Christian name, if you will. Paul Wight moving to AEW is a giant deal. No pun intended. No, it really is. It's a big deal. I don't care whether you are a fan of Paul Wight or not, whether you care. I mean, he's been, we all know the story, right? He's been around forever, never really went away, went anywhere. So we've never had a chance to miss the guy, right? So he's just always up in our face. He's heel, he's face, he's heels, he's face, he's heel, he's face, he's heel, he's face. So at some point we become indifferent to the character. So nobody gives a fuck about. I would almost bet my house that nobody listening to this is a big Paul Wight fan. But they don't bring him in because, oh my God, I have to watch Paul Wight. They're bringing him in because Big Show adds name recognition, star power, experience. It sets the standard that we can acquire big name talent when they don't sign with WWE. We're here to compete for contracts. All of this is good for AEW as a brand new company. You need to be seen as a company that pulls big stars, that competes with WWE for big star contracts. That's a must. Big Show is worth the price alone, whether he gets any kind of return on investment monetarily. Big Show will pay out in spades. They've set the standard for now we're a player in the game for the big contracts. Because make no mistake, like Big Show or not, he's not fucking, he's not Sean Spears, right? He's the fucking Big Show. He is a legend. Like him or not, he's a legend in WWE. He's got legend status. So it's no small thing to have the Big Show in AEW. You are pulling in WWE legends. Yeah, he's not going to... he's still going to pop some numbers. The first time that he appears in the ring, it's going to be big shit unless he fucks it up and no one's going to care after that. But when he does his first match, that's going to be pretty big, I bet. But Big Show himself, Paul Wight himself, is not a draw in the sense of he's going to sell tickets and get ratings. Paul Wight is a draw because now the media, the outside world, it's just another person that they see, that they know. It's a household name. He had a Netflix show, for fuck's sakes. He's been around. We know that Paul Wight is a star. He's been in movies with Adam Sandler. Paul Wight's a star. Okay? So having him on the AEW brand for a long-term contract gives you that credibility as a company. They already had it, in my opinion, but especially with the crossovers with TNA and shit, they feel like can at some times tiptoe on the line of, are we just a glorified TNA or are we the second big league below WWE? There's a difference there. There's a big gap there because a Ring of Honor and an Impact are not the second big league under WWE. WCW was. TNA was never. Impact. ECW was never. New Japan is not. These are all smaller promotions in the grand scheme of professional wrestling. But AEW has managed to maintain not on par with WWE, but certainly much closer to WWE than an Impact. And Paul Wight solidifies that. And not only that, but Paul Wight shows that when a Randy Orton's contract comes up, when an Edge's contract comes up, and not just the older guys, when a Seth Rollins contract comes up, you never know. AEW is in the game to compete for contracts, and this is a money business. And as AEW continues to exist, now there's going to be guys like a Seth Rollins that aren't going to want to take a chance on an AEW right away. I wouldn't if I was in his shoes. These guys have only been around for a year and a half, 2 years still. But as they're around 5 years, especially after they get their next contract renewal, right? They're already good for 4 years. By then, they'll be solidified anyway. But let's say they're just their ratings continue to tank, right? And they're not tanking, but they continue down and they eventually tank. It would be a better way to say that. And they become an Impact. Then we know them, and then they don't get the best TV deal next time around. But if they can maintain this level, just even this level, and that new TV contract comes up, and we're talking future TV contract where you think TV rights are important now because everybody watches Netflix and Disney and fucking Hulu and all that shit. Just wait 3-4 years from now when that contract comes due. Nobody's going to be watching goddamn TV. Less people than now. Certainly less people than now. So if AEW is still pulling in close to 1 million consistently, 52 weeks a year, they're going to get another big contract. And that's going to solidify them even more. So moves like the Paul Wight, moves like the big TV contract with TNT, these can draw top stars, or at least it sets the message that we're here to compete and at least we're in the game, right? Because a TNA or a Ring of Honor, they're not going to pull a Seth Rollins. They're not going to pull a John Cena. AEW, theoretically, you now, especially by seeing the Paul Wight thing, seeing Moxley, seeing Jericho, you know, in seeing Sting, right? You know in your heart that if they really wanted to, they could probably get a John Cena or a Seth Rollins because money talks. Tony's got a lot of fucking money. And they got the infrastructure to back them up too with the football and the soccer. That shit. All of this supports a sound structure for future building for AEW, the ability to attract mainstream attention, the ability to attract credibility with the fans, with the media, with the public, name branding, value, and the ability to attract stars in the future. Stars, big time stars. That's what this Paul Wight move does. And not only that, but it puts Paul Wight in the locker room with these other big guys, a Luchasaurus, a Wardlow, Lance Archer even, could all pick the brain of a Paul Wight and really learn a lot from him. And these are the kind of things that are going to build you into a company. And it's not buying up all the washed up WWE guys, because what they did that set themselves apart was they established their own brand, their own talent. They've established this right off the bat, and they've held those people as their main eventers for the most part, and they've been put over and built up and intermingled with the WWE guys, and you don't get this feeling that it's the rejects of WWE. You get this feeling that it's just another wrestling promotion, a major league wrestling promotion with major league stars. And you know what? I've always had a problem with that, buying washed up WWE guys, blah, blah, blah. When you put them in a situation where it's Hulk Hogan running Impact, which I loved that. I watched it. Of course, it was great shit. But when you get to the point where the washed up old stars, even old WCW in the 96, 95, 96, 97, when it's the washed up stars that are coming in from another company and they're all, you know, when your main event is Jon Moxley versus Big Show, and then Chris Jericho versus fucking whoever else in the co-main event. Now you're getting to a point where you're just using washed up WWE guys to build your promotion. But I've always hated that, because is a Big Show just supposed to go home and sit on the couch because AEW doesn't want to, we don't want to give off the impression that we just want to buy up all the WWE guys, because guys are going to have contract disputes with WWE. They're going to need time off. They're going to get fired. Shit's going to happen. And you can't just let good talent fucking sit there because you don't want to be that company. You got to pick and choose. You don't want to grab everybody. Like a Shawn Spears shouldn't be on an AEW at all, unless because he's Cody Rhodes' friend, he got that spot and was given another opportunity. But you don't want guys like that and then try to make big stars out of them necessarily. But you want to take guys that can help solidify your brand as a mainstream pop culture brand. And Big Show's a huge, huge step in that direction. I think it was a major score for AEW. Whatever the fuck they're paying them, it doesn't matter. You guys are looking at it the wrong way. This was a business move. This was not a star power move. It's star power, but it's not meant for you. It's not meant for you to go, oh, I want to watch Big Show wrestle the match. Because you don't. You don't care. You will care maybe for the first one because just to see what it looks like in an AEW ring against an AEW guy. But you really don't care, right? But that's not what this was for. Great move by AEW. And as long as they don't do a lot of that, big plays like that, never sleep on those. Always grab them. Great shit. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.